morning, Morgan County. Woohoo! It's time for our Positive Podcast. From the Morgan County Partnership with our hosts, I'm Mrs. Hott, the Positive Actions and Digital Media Facilitator. Today, our Positive Podcast is called Positive Actions for Emotional Wellness, 12 Courtesy Tips.
Hi, hola, es hora de acción positiva. Hi community, I am Mrs. Sheima, Morgan County Partnership Positive Actions and Digital Media Facilitator. Today, Positive Podcast, it's called in Spanish, Acciones Positivas para Bienestar Emocional. 12 consejos de cortesía.
De cortesía. I love that. The Morgan County Partnership joins us weekly for an exciting look at positive programs, news, features, things to help build empathy, to foster core values and health and family wellness in our homes, in our communities, and around the world.
Whether you are 2 or 92, it's new Partnership Positive Podcast. We will feature fun and exciting information to help you manage and balance life here in Morgan County to West Virginia and beyond.
Awesome. All right, neighbors, we're ready today to discover our new core value word. We have a new value we talk about each week that helps us to build a network, a community of neighbors that all work together, helping each other get through another day and to provide resources to connect each other and to meet your basic needs and help us in the community. Are you ready, Sheima?
Let's get started.
All right. Today, neighbors, our Positive Podcast is called Positive Actions for Emotional Wellness, 12 Courtesy Tips. Now, I found something, Sheima, I want to share. It's from the Happiness is Here blog. And it's sort of a neat conversation because they're talking about courtesy and how you can't teach manners by being rude, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that doesn't work. Like, oh, rude, this is what not to do. But 12 courtesy tips. And I think it's kind of neat to take a look. They're real easy tips and it'll go by quickly. But it's nice to be reminded of this sometimes because sometimes, as a parent, we're like, say please. It's like, but we don't want to say please because we're told to say please.
Yeah.
We want to help like our kids and our families say please and say thank you because they mean it, right? How do you do that?
Mm-hmm.
And how do we get that into our children that's the nice thing to do? And I think it's so people and if we understand as parents, we need to do that because when you say please and thank you, when you're being courteous, it shows that you're valuing that other person, right, Sheima?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make
Definitely.
sense?
Yeah.
So let's take a look at this article today from this happiness blog. And neighbors, thanks for listening. If you want to watch the podcast, it's also on our Positive Action YouTube channel, right? Hey, Ms. Sheima. And today we're going to continue with golden rule values, core values, with our word of the week, courtesy. All right, Ms. Sheima, are you ready? Will you help us?
Sure.
How do you say courtesy in Spanish? Can you teach us that? And before we look at this blog, can you tell us what does courtesy mean? What do you think?
Okay, the first one, curious in Spanish, is cortesía. Cortesía.
Okay, let's try that.
Cortesía.
Cortesía.
And means to have politely and use positive manners, like saying please, thank you, excuse me, all of these positive words.
There you go. And you know what, neighbors, Sheima, you just told our neighbors what we're working on in our positive actions lessons. We're going to focus on courtesy words that are courteous.
Mm-hmm.
The thought is we want to show value to others. The action is we're going to use courtesy and common courtesy. And we're going to do that with words in the classroom this week. And Sheima's doing a great job. And we might have a special visitor from Ithaca on what are those courteous words. So your kids in actually K through 12, we're going to look at courteous words. And it's important. I want to remind you, why do we need to use these words? because it shows that I value you when I say these words. And then it just starts to grow. It's like spring and everything blooming, right? Manners bloom, don't they? And they grow those positive feelings, thoughts, actions, feelings. It all fits together. So courtesy. Okay, I forgot how to say it. Tell me again.
Cortesía.
Cortesía. Cortesía. Positive actions for emotional wellness. 12 cortesía tips. All right, neighbors, from Happiness is Here blog. Let's see what they have to say, because I thought it's kind of struck my attention. They said you can't teach manners by being rude. And I sort of like this story because I remember my grandmother, we called her grandmama. I like that word, grandmama. And she used to say, what are your manners? What are your manners? And I'm like, that word manners. But manners is all about being courteous with words. So starting with this, all right? I'm just going to share the beginning of this from the happinessishereblog.com. They say this, picture this, okay? Picture this. You're out at a cafe. Maybe you're at Fairfax Coffee House. Shout out to them. You're having a great time with friends and family. You go to order your lunch, and as you finish reading your choice of dish from the menu or coffee, your partner leans in and says pointedly in your ear, "And did you say please?" to the waitress, reminding you to use your manners. Now, have you ever done that, Sheima? Like I do that with my boys. Hey, say please. Hey, say thank you. And Isaac and Levi just started a new job over the weekend at some shops in town called Legends and Lore, the bookstore, and also the general store. And it's their first weekend. And I said, remember, use your manners. They're 16 and 17. And as a parent, we want our kids to be, because I feel like that's a reflection of me, So there they go. Are they using their manners? But here on the Happiness blog, okay, this person says, "Oh my goodness, that's rude. I mean, do they think you're a child or something that they need to be reminded?" I remind my children. Now, it would be absurd, right? Because we reserve that kind of treatment for children, which I just said we did. I do, right? Do you do that, Sheima? Do you remind? Yeah. Okay.
I do.
We're free to. We are free, and I thought this was interesting how they say this. We are free to be rude to them in the name of teaching them manners.
Yeah.
Is that the way to do it?
Yeah, that's true.
Being rude in order just to teach manners. That's right. And sometimes we use rudeness to teach manners, and it's really sort of like tricky. It says here laughable. It can be like we do it the wrong way to teach the right way. But we also, if we're going to do that, we need to make sure we follow up and clarify, what does this mean? Now, I'm not sure who came up with the ridiculous idea to be rude to teach manners, but today we're going to talk about it on Positive Podcast. We're going to take time for a rethink, just like they're doing on the Happiness blog. It seems like adults get so caught up in trying to force children to be respectful and polite that they forget that the example they are setting is not exactly encouraging either of those things. Ultimately, you can't control another person, right? Especially a 3-year-old, right? Maybe they'll say please and thank you at the appropriate times to avoid your disapproval or your judgment, but will they mean it? And you want them to mean it, right? Will it come from the heart? Yeah. Maybe not if they're forced to. Yeah. It makes much more sense and is way more effective to model the choices and values that are important to you. You want people to speak to you respectfully and politely, right? Then you need to do the same. So if anyone needs a refresher from the happinessblog.com, here are 12 manners for adults to practice. Are you ready, Sheima?
I can't wait.
All right, the first one. What's the first one for adults to practice for politeness?
Say thank you. That's the first and the foundation of everything. Saying thank you.
Right, to say thank you. And in Spanish, how do you say thankful in Spanish?
Gracias.
Thank you. Gracias. I noticed this as long as I've known Dan, and we've been married coming up on 25 years. Whenever we're at a restaurant where our server speaks Spanish, and we know they do, Dan will say, instead of thank you, like he'll say gracias.
Yeah,
And the reaction, I mean, the server will be like, they always do a second take, like, wait, he said, and I always thought that was pretty cool because it shows respect for them to use their language. So why not, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
so
I always
pretty.
thought
I
that was
love it.
cool. I thought that was cool how they ended up, and he still does. Although we haven't been out a lot lately because of COVID, but that's going to start changing more and more.
Yes.
So to say thank you, tip number 1. And the blog says, sometimes I think we've ditched good manners in place of positive reinforcement. Everyone's so concerned with controlling kids through praise that you're more likely to hear good girl, good boy, than a genuine, heartfelt thanks. But you know what's more meaningful? You guessed it, the thank you. Just appreciate them. That's not only the most respectful and polite thing to do, but it's the best way to model good manners anyway, to thank your kids. And this, when I read this blog, that stopped me right there, to thank your kids, right? I mean, I think we take them for granted. They need to be thanked, and not just to say praise, but to say, hey, thank you for doing that. Like when Isaac and Levi, thank you for doing the dishes. That means a lot.
Yeah.
And something else I thought about, not just saying it to people, but also on your text and digital media, not to just stop your comment, but to text back. Sheima, you're great at that. I mean, and I've learned a lot. I get neighbors, Sheima will text me back, thank you. And I'm like, oh, it was nothing. But she's taken the time to say gracias to me when sometimes you take for granted. So remember that, neighbors, don't take for granted if you're texting too. You can text a thank you because it's important, don't you think, Sheima?
Yeah, definitely.
What's number 2?
Number 2 is apologize.
It's good manners to say I'm sorry, and that's on our list for our lessons on the vlogcast this week. Say I'm sorry. Why is that so hard?
It's maybe because the ego, like
apologize. So many people are forcing insincere apologies out of their kids, and they don't say sorry themselves. And when they've done something wrong, again, the best way to encourage things you value is to actually model them yourself. When you make a mistake, apologize. Children deserve that too, right?
Yeah.
And when they see it, they're gonna know that it's real and do it themselves. Right?
And something that I was reading about in the book, it's about the positive discipline for preschoolers. They were talking about this, about apologize, and they were saying why you have to tell the kid, if it's like a 3-year-old, you have to apologize, but you're not telling the kid why they have to, because they never know another way to do it. Like if they are in the line, example, if they're in the line in the classroom and somebody like push somebody because they're so close to them and they don't like this, instead of saying go and apologize, maybe we can teach them the way to do it, like saying, please, can you move a little bit, you're so close to me. How to do it in another way. Just saying, sometimes if we tell them just apologize, say I'm sorry, but they don't know why they have to do it. So if we tell them you have this way, it's the right way to do it. Like if like in the line, like the example of the line, please, can you move a little bit, you're so close to me. Maybe we can teach them that. And then the next time if they push, they're gonna be like, oh, I know I can't do that, I'm sorry.
That's cool, Sheima. And it's all about knowledge. When you provide knowledge for your little ones or your children's or your teenagers, it helps them understand, and then why they need to say I'm sorry with the knowledge of why. And then you're more susceptible to say, well, then that if this is why, then this is why someone's feeling upset with me,
And
good tip.
Parents we have to say sorry to our kids too. That's the way to teach them.
Yeah. Number 3.
Do not touch their stuff.
Don't touch their stuff.
That's a good one.
How do you establish that, right? Because I think sometimes, well, I'm the parent. I paid for that. I'll touch whatever, And I read that. I'm like, oh, what do they mean by that? So this is what they said. HappinessHereblog.com says you don't touch someone's possessions without permission. Children are included in that. You don't You don't call their toys, confiscate things, rearrange the room, or otherwise make decisions about things that belong to them without their permission. Children have the right to own things. You want them to respect your belongings, then we need to respect theirs too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know what? I think, what do you think, neighbors? Are you saying, hey, but they're the kids, I'm the adults, right? But you know what? When you really think about this, if we behave in a way like we want to be treated and illustrate by don't touch their things, then as they don't automatically, when they go to school, they're not so like mine, I'm going to touch everybody else's things too. That's a tough one, right?
Yeah, I use that with Hitaga, like when she's eating, everybody's in their table. Sometimes when she was more tiny, she usually go to our plate and she take our food. And now I ask her, like when she has something in her plate and I want to eat it, like it's not I want to eat it, but I want to teach her. I'm like, hey, can you have like your slice of tomato, please? And maybe she look at me and she's like, oh yeah, I can share this with you. Yeah. And now she's asking the same. When I have something in my plate that she wants, she said, Mama, please, can I have that? I was like, yeah, sure.
There you go. See, that's right. And it's the same from food on the plate to toys to sitting next to a desk, to a student, to growing up, buying a house and having a neighbor next door to you, we watched this movie where this neighbor's tree was roots growing underneath, and it's like, hey, the roots are over here, but the tree's over here, don't touch my tree. Well, it's my tree. It's just an example now today how to get along tomorrow, right?
Yeah, like
all right. What's number 4?
Number 4 is listening when they talk, being totally focusing on what they are saying. Like sometimes when she comes and I'm like here working or something, and she comes with something that she did, she's like a painting or whatever, like, hey, look at this. Sometimes parents were like, oh yeah, good job, but they're not really looking to them saying, wow, you color a rainbow. Did you like it? This is pretty cool. Or something like this. Like being really present with them and telling them you are valuable. I am looking to you. I see what you're doing. Instead of saying, oh, good job. And keep doing whatever. Or maybe you're with your phone and your kid comes telling you something. And like, yeah, we'll talk with you later. Or good job. Yeah, they know you're not present.
And you know what, Sheima? That phone thing does get in the way, doesn't it? And parents put it down because they're with you today. Tomorrow they might not be, and I got a 17-year-old leaving for Boston in a few months, and it's like, what? And put the phone down and listen. They got stuff to say.
And sometimes we're like, why teenagers, they are in their phone, and when I talk with them, they're not listening because they're in their phone. Where they watched that, where they saw that. If we start with a young age doing that for them, this is what they're gonna say when they're gonna get older. And then when they're teenagers and you want to talk with them and they're like, yeah, mom, yeah, dad, where they saw that. If they're like, okay, I'm gonna put this phone down, I'm gonna be present.
Yeah,
it's hard.
All right, what's the next one, Sheima?
Next one, number 5, don't laugh at them. Don't laugh at them.
Yeah. Oh, happinesshere.blog.com says it's not polite to laugh at someone or make fun of them, and age doesn't change that. Nobody likes to be laughed at, right? Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll be silly and I'll do it like, oh, I'm just getting along and I don't mind. It's like it can be a teachable moment sort of thing, but you can really hurt a kid's self-concept and confidence if you're going to laugh at them, right? It's just not good manners. And I think sometimes adults can be mean about that. Oh, they're just a kid, they don't matter, but no, their egos are fragile and gentle. Don't laugh at them, right? What is the next one? I like this one.
Next one, number 6, be mindful and tolerant.
Yes. HappinessHereblog.com says kids in public get such a hard time. I have literally seen adults walk purposely in a straight line, expecting children to jump out of their way as if they are some kind of inferior being. I mean, what are you doing, people? Maybe it's because they were so disrespected as children that they enjoy the feeling of power that they never had. Whatever the reason, it's rude. As our nasty looks and exaggerated size at children enjoying themselves in a public space, if they're not hurting you or damaging things, then maybe try lightening up a bit. It's absurd to think that children should have more manners while you are free to be rude and condescending. This one might step on some toes, right? Meaning like maybe it's happened and I'm like, well, I can walk right by. I'm the adult here, but really that's a little person there, and they have a place. They're important on this planet, and when adults feel like, I have the power because I'm the adult, you don't know as you walk by if you've done that, and in rudeness it takes a little chip away at a child's self-confidence and their self-concept. And this one jumped out at me because we've seen in the classroom some children who are broken, and a lot of the kids who end up in our social work care, we have social workers at the partnership, and those kids are trying, we're trying to help them build their self-confidence and as we work on self-concept, so they know they're unique and repair those damages. So if we as adults, if we can remember, and maybe we're not thinking, we're just like, oh, maybe we're just thinking about work or paying the bills, and we don't know that we've walked by and we might have, been rude. But if we just stop and say, okay, we need to stop, recognize when the children are around, because if they can see us recognizing them, then you're going to make them feel important and valued. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely, Mrs. Hott. I was thinking about when we are now like in a society talking about the equal with rights for men and women, but we're not equal with kids and adults. We are all the time, oh, they're kids, they don't know, or they're like a step behind our adult people. So we're like, oh, they can just stay there. But no, they're humans too. They deserve respect, they deserve love, they deserve valuable. We have to teach ourselves how to manage kids because they're kids. We have to learn how their brain works and how their development, and that's the way. If we learn, we have the knowledge and how their brain is working, we're gonna know how we can raise positive and confident kids. But we have to start everything with us, because it's generation and generation with parents being rude with us. So we learned that. So we're like, oh, that's the way to raise a kid. But science says no. The brain of a kid is totally different. Being kind and being mindful and wonderful with them, that's the way to raise a confident and a positive kid, and a beautiful word with people that it's more lovely with each other.
Right. And then you're also giving that attention, that courtesy. When you give you give courtesy to a child, you're giving them tools for success. And that's why we do positive actions. That's why the Morgan County Partnership has this whole program, 36 weeks in the schools, that when we show courtesy to each other, and that's what we're trying to talk about today, parents to do these 12 ways so our kids will do it too, that gives them, builds their self-confidence. And then as they feel able to, there's the science behind it. I like how you brought that up. If they have these values like courtesy, the science behind it says they're going to succeed. The values go up, their success, not just as being good, not only being positive in the community, but in their academics, like they're going to feel like they can succeed in school, everybody to their own ability. So yes, please be courteous to your kids.
It is hard, but it's going to take time and practice. But you can do this, parents and caregivers. You can do it.
Yeah, Shema, yeah. I don't like that you said that. All right, what's the next tip for parents?
Next tip, number 7, reply when they talk to you. Reply to them when they talk to you.
Answer their questions, listen to their thoughts, consider their opinions like you would with anyone else. If you're unable to do that at the moment, just kindly explain why you can't do it at that moment. But yeah, take the stop, answer their questions, listen to their thoughts, consider that person's opinion like you would. And I feel like, I think this is cool because we need to do this for our kids, so they'll do it for others too. They'll stop, answer your question, answer someone else's question. They'll stop and listen. And I like this part, consider other opinions. You know, sometimes I think we adults do that. Oh, they're different from me, I'm not listening. But wait a minute, if we stop and let's just consider it and listen, we need to do more of that. That's just good manners. It's courtesy to listen to people, right?
If we do it with an adult, imagine if a friend comes to you and she's so excited or he's so excited that wants to tell you something that's happened that day, and you are like, example, you're with your phone and you're like, yeah, how this person is going to feel. If we don't do it with a friend, why we're going to do it with our child?
Right.
They have feelings too. It's important to them, something they're telling you. So responding to that story or that thing they're telling you, they're like, oh yeah. Or if you can't do it in that time because you're in a phone call, you can say, please, can you wait 5 minutes? Maybe you can go and play with your Legos, or you can paint. You can pick. When I finish, I will talk with you. Saying like in this way, they're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna play with my Legos, or I'm gonna do this, and then we can talk.
Exactly. And it brings up number 8. Why do we do this? It's because what number 8 is.
Be respectful,
right? Yeah, be respectful. HappinessHereblog.com says many adults appear to think that they have earned automatic respect on the basis of their age, no matter how they behave. It doesn't work that way. Yes, you deserve to be treated respectfully, but I don't think you can expect to be if you're not going to extend the same courtesy to others. Children deserve the same rights and respect as adults. Can't say any more clear than that, right? I know, right? What's number 9?
Don't gossip.
Don't gossip. Oh, happinesshereblog.com says talking negatively about people, especially in front of them, is not polite. It's not courteous. Same goes for children. Don't tell stories about them that they may be embarrassed about. Don't complain about them. Sharing your struggles and feelings to a friend in private is quite different to talking about them and putting them down in front of others. Oh, wow. So don't belittle or humiliate children in front of them, because that chips away at that self-confidence and self-concept, right? Right? It's just not good manners. It's not courteous, right?
And don't compare your kid with another kid. Like, look what your friend, look at the grades of your friend. Why you didn't do that? Because we're different. Everybody's unique, and we have different abilities.
You do, right? Don't compare, like the appearance of them. Like I was always like, look how short you are. Everybody else is so much taller. I'm like, oh geez, what's wrong with me? That's what I was thought. Why am I so short? You know, it does. It chips away there, doesn't it? Number 10. This one I had to read twice. I'm not too sure what it means. What's I
like this one. This one, it's super Montessori thing.
Oh, okay.
Respect autonomy. I say
autonomy.
It right?
Yeah, I had looked at respect autonomy. This is important, right? Because we're raising values today for a better community tomorrow, right? Respect autonomy. HappinessHereblog.com says don't touch them without asking. Whether it's to pick them up, wipe their nose, hug them, tickle them, or many other things people do to children without permission. It's rude and inappropriate to touch someone without their consent. It's not courteous. It's not good manners. Don't tell them how to dress, when to sleep, when to eat, how to have their hair, or anything else relating to their own body. You wouldn't say that to an adult. Yes, it's your job as a parent to keep them safe and healthy, like, that doesn't mean they get to stay up all night. They need to
Yeah.
get their rest and stuff to keep them safe and healthy. But you can do that without overriding autonomy. How about that?
And this, it's really important because that's the way to teach them to prevent child abuse.
Right.
Because we always say to the kids sometimes with all our love, like, go and kiss grandma. You have to kiss grandma. If the kid is like embarrassing or it's not prepared, I don't want to kiss grandma now, even if grandma is a safe person. But it's going to kids that they're going to do stuff because they don't want to do it, or that's dangerous. So, okay, you don't want to kiss grandma. When you are ready, you can go and give her a hug when you are ready, when you want. But don't pressure them, go and kiss grandma, go and give a hug to auntie or any person in the family or wherever. You're not going to say to an adult, go and give a hug to that person.
Right.
So it just bring everything to where you're going to do with an adult person. You're going to do this with an adult. If you're not going to do it, don't do it with a child, because it's the same.
Yeah. Very good. Right. Number 11.
Seek their opinion.
I like this one. Seek their opinion. HappinessHereblog.com says, if you had a friend visiting you, would you make decisions without what you were going to do that day without their input? Would you tell them it was time to leave without notice, or insist they stop what they are doing because you had other plans? No. Extend the same courtesy to the children in your life. Seek their opinion. Just ask. I mean, sometimes, all right, I don't know, maybe you're going to church now, that doesn't always work out well. Or, sometimes you got to go for your checkup, or you're going to school. I mean, there are things, but seek their opinion. And I like that because it includes your children together, and why not with other adults? Seek the opinion of other adults, and ask. I feel like if we teach our children and ask them their opinion, and then they feel included in the family like operation, if everybody is included, then our kids, when they grow up, they're in the community, they're going to include others too, on other things like town things, community things, whatever. Seek their opinion. And then, you know what? You might be surprised, right? Oh, and you might go, wow. I know Levi is like, what do you want to watch? What movie? It's like, but before I've learned so much about like all these different kinds of movies. And I'm like, I never realized I've learned so much about him, that he was so like about truth and justice and right and social equity. He feels passionately about that. And it's like, let's watch this movie, Mom. And I think, I'm so glad I asked him what to watch. And I'm like, okay, because, I like, sometimes I would just watch like romantic comedies or Hallmark movies or something like that. But because I like asked my 16-year-old's opinion, it's like, whoa. And then, so, your kids, and their passion, don't turn them off just because they're a kid. But then, and I think, if we listen to the passion of it, like in our the team at the high school for the World Affairs seminar, when we asked them about injustice and racial equity, they're passionate and they want to know. Just, just ask. All right, what's number 12?
And number 12, don't dismiss feelings. Dismiss, I say it right?
Dismiss.
Dismiss. Don't dismiss feelings.
Right. HappinessHere.com says, when an adult is upset, you wouldn't dream of telling them to stop crying. That it's not that bad, and that they have no reason to be upset. Just because children are still learning to regulate their emotions and might feel them more intensely doesn't mean they're any less valid, those emotions. It is never appropriate. It's not good manners. It's not courteous to tell someone to stop crying or feeling however they are feeling. You can't, that's not good manners. It's not courteous to say, you shouldn't feel that way. You shouldn't be scared. You shouldn't, The right response to emotion is always, always empathy. Right there. And I love coming back to this word empathy, you have to think how that other person's feeling.
And I love this because that's one of the stuff of the training. and they talk a lot about how to manage kids' emotions from they teach about the brain. And this emotion, sometimes we're saying to the kid, stop crying. It's not because the kid is feeling bad, but because it's crying. It's because the adult, it's being like, oh, this cry, I can't with this, I can't hear this cry, no, stop crying. It's not the kid, it's you. So you have to regulate yourself, and then you can regulate your kid with a positive way. The kids, they're learning how to manage emotions. It's the first time that they are doing this. They never teach them, and so that's the way to express how they're feeling. Maybe it's so annoying for us because oh, this is so bad, I'm sad, or I'm scared, or I want a different shirt. And for us, it's like, oh geez, again this, come on quickly. But okay, we're gonna value their emotions, and we can say that's the way. Then when they grow up, like I'm talking about tiny kids, when they grow up, when they're teenagers, they're gonna come to us. So they're gonna come to mom and dad, or to their caregivers, because they're gonna feel that's the confidence place. That's where I'm gonna feel safe. That person, I'm gonna to reach to them, because they're gonna tell me, okay, I'm not bad because I'm feeling sad.
Yeah.
Because when somebody's happy, you tell them, stop being happy.
Yeah.
We are telling the kids, crying, it's a negative feeling. Being sad, being scared, it's a negative feeling. Being happy, it's the positive way. Nobody tell me stop being happy, because it's not annoying for an adult. When a kid is excited and happy, we're not telling them stop being happy. Come on, stop. But for a crying, it's better saying, oh, I see you're crying because maybe you want to play 5 minutes more in the playground. That's okay. Mommy and daddy's here with you. We understand your feelings, but we have to go to do another thing. But we understand your feelings. Mommy and daddy's here with you. Or maybe when they are scared, example with Ita, she's so scared about bees. And don't tell her, don't be scared about bees. You're fine. I tell her, I understand you're scared about bees. That's happened to me sometimes. You know what? You are safe. You're safe here because bees are not going to do something for you bad. They make, it's my phone.
But yeah, you know, you were talking about Ithaca and bees and bugs and that, and something that you did, Sheima just showed me earlier, neighbors, she's got this great book about bees and bugs that she's showing Ithaca. So she's giving her knowledge about her fear to help her overcome it. I think that's really cool. It's just polite. It's good manners. It's courtesy to accept all feelings, you know, and then instead of making them feel like it's wrong to be scared.
Give them the tools to manage those emotions. Instead of saying stop crying, you don't have to be afraid of something, or you don't have to be sad about this. Give them the tools, saying mommy and daddy or whatever it's there with them, I am here for you, I'm listening to you. Hug them, tell them, let's practice a breathing when you feel sad.
Tools to regulate, tools for self-regulation.
Yes, tools for self-regulation. And sometimes they need tools for when they're exciting too, because they don't listen when they're super happy. They need that too. So instead of saying stop doing this, give them the tools. But first, adults, caregivers, parents, start with you. You have to regulate yourself. The crying, it's annoying for you, it's not for the kid. Think, okay, this is just a cry, I'm gonna know how to manage this, I'm gonna breathe. Sometimes I need to breathe too as a mom. Sometimes I'm like so stressful and I can't manage a positive way and emotion. I breathe, I'm like, okay, I am the adult, she is the child, she needs me, I'm gonna be the adult that she needs.
Right. And Sheima, you bring that up. This closes with a quote from W.E.B. Du Bois. I said that right. Children learn more from what you are than what you teach. So what we are, parents, and I know we're accountable, and we only have these kids with us for this much time. And if we're going to make the world a better place, we need, for this much time, parents, we need to do the best we can with the time that we got, because soon they leave and then they're out on their own. And some of the things, like we can't just like, oh, well, they're going to school and let the teacher deal with it. No, because then that's why our communities are breaking apart, and that's why we don't have this network, because parents, we need to step up to the plate and really, I'll be frank, bring these values back, manners and courteous, and exactly what Sheima's saying. And some of the to give a shout out to consciousdiscipline.com, because if you're hearing Sheima, a lot of these strategies are so beautiful to help build this network of values for our kids today, so their futures tomorrow. Because guys, moms, dads, caregivers, aunts, uncles, people who, these kids are in your care. You've been entrusted with them to set the example, like Dubois says, and they learn more from what you are, okay, and that what they see you doing, so bring and this is a refresher, value, courteous, manners, and when courteous comes up, it's like, oh yeah, that's about please and thank you, and we're going to target those words. It is about those kind words, but it's really, for us as parents, it's a foundation. It's like the footers on a house. If we can build this in our children and respect and show that people are valued by being courteous, wow, and I think we can do it. Yes, we just got to talk about it, and we have to listen to the hard stuff, like, yeah, moms, dads, caregivers, we need to do a better job, I think, and we need to not push it over on the school and say, oh, I have to pay bills, I have to do this,
team.
Right.
It's a team. School and home, it's a team to make a better world start with our kids. And sometimes we are tired, and we understand this. Being a parent, being a caregiver, taking care of bills and kids and our stuff, it is hard. It is so hard, and nobody teaches how to be a parent,
right?
But step by step, you're learning, and the best way to do it is start with you breathing and say, I can do this, I'm learning, I will do that.
And
you start with your positive thoughts.
Yeah, and it is hard sometimes, and it's okay to get overwhelmed. Like we said, we need to recognize our kids' feelings, your feelings too, moms, dads, caregivers. It's all right to feel that way, and because sometimes things just suck, and recognize it. And if you need help, that's why the partnership is part of, like Sheima said, we're here with the teachers and families to be a resource for when things suck and are hard. Right.
And sometimes Itaka, she said, when she's learning something or she's painting, she said, I can't do this, so I'm trying to teach her instead of saying I can't do this, say I am learning. So parents, caregivers, teachers, families, everybody, you can do this because you are learning. Instead, if our self-talk is I can't do this, change that. I am learning. You are in the path. Every day you are learning something. I am learning. I am learning. Change that. I can do it.
Got that, guys?
I am learning.
I am learning. Got it. I am learning to be courteous. This week's word, being courteous, to use kind actions, behave politely, and positive manners. Let's try it, guys. And let's start with our words, using kind words. Kindness, thank you, gracias. All right, I guess we should get going. You ready, neighbors? You ready, Sheima? All right, let's get ready to close.
Thank you so much, neighbors, for joining us. That was wonderful. And remember, neighbors, from 2 to 92, young and old, it's been fun podcasting with you today. We hope you find some positive actions out in the world this week. Bye.
All right, parents, teachers, you're not alone. Families, you're not alone. We know it gets tough sometimes. Like Sheima said, we are learning each day, right? We're learning, and when we learn, we get to teach our kids this too, courtesy and manners. We're one community, and neighbors, you're neat, like your kids. You are important, you are unique, and each of you are wonderfully made. Thanks for joining us today on the Positive Actions Podcast for Emotional Wellness. 12 tips for courtesy. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.